Hi, host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and I think it is very much of value to explain and understand how it is that government comes to be what it is and how it evolved from what mental processes and models. So, historically, the state has been all-powerful in whatever form it took. And it was all-powerful because, by definition, whichever group has a monopoly on use of force is the state. So, they have the most guns. Naturally, they can pretty much do what they want. Historically, the state has been seen as a necessary evil. Someone's going to have the most guns, so someone's going to have the most firepower. And if we don't, if the situation doesn't reach an equilibrium where one group has a monopoly on use of force, then we just have endless civil war. So, okay, fine, the state's a necessary evil. Well, and it probably was at the time. One critical component to factor in is the evolution of the human being, the evolution of human society. We aren't the barbarians we once were, at least here. So, we're capable of more self-governance because villains are less capable of becoming dominant through group military action. The problem with the nation state, of course, is it is entirely divorced from any actual group. So, the nation state of the United States of America purports to represent some 400 million people, but it doesn't at all. I feel like I have vastly more in common with my community members either in my local city or a diaspora of community members online than I do with any geographically constrained group called Americans. Although, admittedly, I consider myself an American. I'm proud to be an American. I feel a certain amount of patriotism and a lot of outrage because of that. I feel my patriotism is having its face spat in. I was raised to believe. My father was very big on talking to me about this stuff. I was raised to believe in no uncertain terms that the Supreme Court was the good guy. SCOTUS was our friend. SCOTUS was the one who protected us from people who tried to stop the Nazis from marching. They didn't need to protect us from the Nazis. They were just marching. The Supreme Court needed to protect us from those who wanted to use force with threats of violence. The Supreme Court is our friend, I was taught. Because when legislators abuse their power to make protocols to commit violence against others, the Supreme Court's there to stop them. Ours is a government of enumerated powers. It wasn't then, Dad. It sure isn't now. I appreciate your faith in our nation, though. It's the sickening stench of perverted mechanisms, legal precedent as a determinant factor is insane. Well, that's what it means because that's how that other judge interpreted it. But that interpretation produces this display of contradictions within the law. It is not consistent with any understanding of what the law ought to be, as derived from a sense of individuals having interests and that the law ought to protect the individual's ability to pursue those interests unmolested. When the Supreme Court ruled that somebody growing medical marijuana in their own backyard for their own consumption that was never going to be given away or sold, the Supreme Court ruled that it was okay to have federal laws on that because interstate commerce. It broke my fucking heart. We rely on this flimsy piece of paper called the Constitution to constrain the group. Try to set it up so you get 9 real smart people to make sure that fucking beast stays in that cage. Maybe we gotta have that beast on a tight leash, and maybe we gotta have it around, but keep it in that fucking cage. Don't let it out. 13th Amendment. Didn't they know what they were doing? They were dooming us all to slavery. It's okay. We'll win. What sucks is we'll never be anybody else be held accountable for it. Nobody will. And all the weakly chained elephants who voted for Obama, but I voted for Obama, for Christ's sakes. First time. Insanely. I don't know. I let my emotions get the better of me or something. Anyway, the point is, who is going to stand up and say to the people incarcerated for drugs, for example? Who's going to go to them and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I supported the state this whole time. I'm sorry. I didn't understand. We weren't there as a race yet, as a species. Who's going to go to that poor family who's driving down the street and their tags are expired? And unlike me, they're not looking for a fight at all. They're looking to get where they're going. And they can't afford that ticket. Who's going to say, I'm sorry to them? I'm sorry for the violence that this nation has perpetrated against us all. We're so immersed in the lies. It's insane. It breaks my heart.